Everyone. Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much for turning up in such large numbers. Thanks for inviting me, Soph. Great initiative and brilliant that it's the first time happening. I hope it's going to happen a lot in the future as well, the Sustainability Week. And again, thanks for showing up. What I want to do today is basically, after the presentation of the last 3 days, take down the whole focus a bit from a global, very collective level and look at what can we do as the individual, how can we contribute to sustainability on a personal level. So the title of the description, A Sustainable Life and a Sustainable Home, that Sophie chose for me, which I like to call a story about my self-exploration, mindful decisions, and a very small house at the end of it. Basically, again, what I want to do is pull the whole thing in to my own story and let you know how I try to contribute to a sustainable lifestyle. As many of you probably know, I built my own house, a very small house on top of that. It's about 7 meters long, 2.5 meters wide. Doesn't take up very much space, but I hope it's going to enable me to live a sustainable life, mostly off the grid, producing my own electricity and water. And actually, it's about to be finished. I spent the last half year building it, and I'm probably going to, within the next couple of weeks, finish it and start living in it with my wonderful partner and my 2 cats that are equally wonderful. So basically, what I want to do is, before going into the whole tiny house nitty-gritty a bit more, I want to take you through the journey that I did to get to to this material object, because at the end of the day, the tiny house is nothing else but a kind of physical manifestation of the changes that I went through in about 3 to 4 years' time. So for me, the tiny house didn't start with how can I live most sustainable, what can I do to be more sustainable. For me, it was a very different, basic, profound question, which is, what do I want from life? I was at a stage, I was in my mid-20s, I was living in London, in a very big city, very hectic, no time to really reflect on yourself. And I was asking myself, is this really what do I want from life? And I was never a person that had really a big plan. This is where I want to go. I want to become a doctor, save children. I was just floating around life. So the only thing I knew was, what I really want is I want to be happy. And that's the one constant that I was chasing, and that I knew that I wanted to get there. However, the next question is a bit of a painful one. What makes me happy? And for me, that was I guess equally for many people, that's quite a difficult one, because it's not easy to think about such a profound question when you don't have time to really reflect on it. Looking at myself, I went to basic elementary school, I went to a sports school, loved sports. Then someone decided better to go into business. Let's do it, let's go to a business school. After that, seamlessly go into what Austria still is military service. I chose to work as a Red Cross paramedic. After that, the bills start. You start to move to bigger cities, earn more, bills more, bigger apartment, everything. All of a sudden you think, I'm a bit stuck actually. What is it again that I could come back to that really does make me happy? So basically, I don't have the time to really find out what it is that does make me happy. And that was a bit of a big realization for me, that I just couldn't concentrate and come to a point where I really figured out what I expect from life. So what I do need, I need space and I need time to think, to reflect on my own life decisions and to see where is it really that I want to go. So I came up, being a very structuralized Austrian, I came up with a step 1 for me. Step 1 is, I need time, I need space, I need freedom to really make sense of all this madness that is often happening around us. And in order to create freedom, I needed to change my thinking patterns. I always lived by, this is how much I need. I need to pay rent, this, car, whatever. This is how much I need to gain in order to maybe get personal freedom one day if I work long enough. But I thought maybe I am asking the wrong question after all. Why not just ask yourself, I'm not going to go lower than this. This is how much freedom I want. And how much do I really need to earn in order to get there? So to switch up the paradigm a bit and think about it from the other side. And the answer for that is, how much did I need and what were my needs? Actually, it wasn't really that much. All I needed to do was lower my cost of living, but I didn't want to give up life experience and living standards for that. So what was it that I really need? Going back to, maybe you've already seen it, it's called the Maslow pyramid of needs. What we can see on it is that the basic needs, food, warmth, rest, water, is something we all do need, such as security and safety. Both can actually be achieved at a very low cost if you just lower your expectations. But above those two, everything else is basically for free. Intimate relationships are, prestige, the feeling of accomplishment, achieving one's potential. It's all things that we can actually really gain without spending any money on it. So I realized, first of all, I want financial freedom. I thought, you know what, I pay about 400 euros in rent, let's make it 550 and see if I can get through the month. And I did. And I lived with less. While my life experience and my positive feedback I got was still exactly the same. The wow moments that I mentioned here is something that Maria and I came up with. We only allowed ourselves to actually buy things that gave us this whoa moment. We're just like, I need it, I want it, no matter what. It's gonna make my life richer, it's gonna enhance my experience. So these were the things we kind of limited ourselves to. And obviously, by having less financial burdens, I also needed to work less. So I thought, why? For 550 euros, I don't need to work 5 days a week. Personally, I don't see who came up with that system to work 5 days a week. I didn't. Monday to Friday. It's a lot of time in a 7-day week to work 5 days a week. And I thought, why not question that a bit? Less financial burdens, I needed to work less. So that's where I get from the financial to the personal freedom. I thought 3 days work is basically what I need to sustain me, plus give me enough personal time to work on my social endeavors, on my entrepreneurial skills and endeavors. And I thought 3 days work to 4 days off seems like a pretty good deal to me. Because working on my own things 7 days a week, I would go crazy anyway. So for me, coming here 3 days a week is just fabulous to kind of get a bit of different input. Funnily enough, I realized the less items I had in my life, the more time I actually had to experience life. I didn't have many things to maintain anymore. I didn't have a car. I went public transportation. I gave away most of my materialistic things. All of a sudden, you actually have time to think about what it really is that I want. That brings me to step 2. I have time, I have freedom now. What do I do with it? I actually want to start connect with my environment, with the world that we live in, learn and understand, which I would like to call, what are skyscrapers made of? And that is a bit of a story I quickly want to tell you. I was living in London for about 2 years and going in and out of jobs, hectic life, weekends even more stressful than during the week. After work drinks really are a very strong social stigma that you have to obey to. And one day I'm walking through Liverpool Street Station and I'm on my way to a job interview. And I think the job position was called knowledge mining manager, something like that. And I was just thinking, what the hell is that even? I don't know what the position is I'm applying for. Why am I going there? Why am I doing this? Why do I need the money that a job gives me? And the answers I couldn't really find. And all of a sudden I had a bit of a meltdown. I was just standing in the middle of a million people thinking, what the hell is all of this? Who are these people? I know no one. I don't know these buildings. What the hell? What are skyscrapers made of even? I have no idea. I don't understand any of it. I don't understand the people around me. I don't understand the material world around me. And it's freaking me out. I need to connect with the things in my life again. Because I do believe human beings really want to be connected. Not just on a personal level with each other, but also on a material level. The things we have in life, they should matter to us. And they should enhance our life experience. However, I do see that in a globalizing world, it's all becoming a bit more opaque and difficult to see through. We're often struggling in the past. I mean, there was a butcher and there was a shoemaker, and the shoemaker made the shoes and the butcher made the meat. And we all kind of understood what that meant. But within a globalized and industrial society, it all goes really, really fast. And it's becoming very abstract, and we often just have no real idea of we are holding in our hands of what's happening around us. And from that, I think two things I deduced from that. We have a personal problem with alienation and a material problem with alienation, meaning that on a personal level, some scholars speak of global loneliness, meaning that even though we're all connected within an internet age and a globalized society, it's actually never been easier to be lonely than now. You can get your food delivered to your doorstep, you get your money on your bank account, all virtual. You actually don't need to leave your doorstep anymore. Therefore, actually, levels of loneliness are rising, are skyrocketing at the moment, even though we all kind of like to pretend that we are all connected. That personal alienation I want to put next to material alienation, again, to the items that we have in our lives. So what are the skyscrapers made of? How do mobile phones and computers work? What are streets made of? What is this made of? I don't know. Like, I really want to find out. And I think it's that childlike curiosity that every one of you that has children. Mom, what is this? Why does this smell? Why does this hurt? At some point in our lives, we stop asking these questions for some reason. And I think it's really important to regain that curiosity and actually stay curious about what is life and what am I looking for and what makes me happy. And within that question, I went to Leiden. I moved here from London, and I started studying anthropological linguistics. And I came across a very, very interesting indigenous tribe language in the Amazon that I was studying for a year or two. And these people were amazing. They fascinated me because they gave me the answer to the questions that I had that no one could answer for me. They wouldn't look at a bird and call it by its name. They would call it, it's the bird that eats the worm that lives under the tree, that comes every March, it blossoms. It was crazy. They think in connections. Everything is interconnected for them. It's not just abstract norms that we give, but just it all makes sense for them. And that was something I kind of knew it was a bit idealistic, but I wanted to get towards such an understanding of my environment. And there was a great story because my mentor, Ethne Carling, a fantastic researcher that lived within that indigenous tribe for a couple of years, she one day flew in with a jungle airplane, landed on some kind of open foresty path, and the chief of that tribe goes to her and says, "That thing you just came in is awesome. What is it?" It's called an airplane. So, yeah, okay. How do you make it? Teach us. We want to know how it works. And she said, "I cannot teach you how an airplane is made. I don't know it." Well, how can you not know it when you use it? You came in that and you have no idea how it works? And then she explained, yeah, that's how our society often works. There are a lot of things that we don't understand, but we use them because they just kind of magically appear. And that really opened my eyes to how little we often understand about our environment. And I'm not saying division of labor is a bad thing. I understand that we're not in the butcher and shoemaker age anymore. But what I am saying is that there is a basic sense of curiosity to kind of try to understand the things in your life that I for myself wanted to regain. For them, for example, within the trio language, as a linguist, I was very interested in the language, obviously. I asked myself, what does to own mean? What is ownership that we often talk about in our Western world so much? And at the end of the day, I found out it basically means controlling. I own something, therefore you can't have it. But it says nothing about the personal connection that you actually have to an item and what it brings to your life. Within the trio language, I was then digging through piles of reports to try to find a word that would resemble our concept of ownership in Europe. And I couldn't find it. Something that was the closest was a construction that basically means to be with something. They would never say, I have a house. It doesn't mean anything in their language. They are with a house. A house is within the sphere of my life. And they connected on a personal level that I found that very reflective of our society, that the word just doesn't exist in their language. So I was assuming that this material alienation is even visible in modern English, which I think was very clear to see. So my goal is I want to look beyond this material abstraction and also convenience that we often hide ourselves. How do I do that? I have no idea. I want to make mindful connections with people and materials, and I mean the full life cycle. I come home from my research and I think I plug in a toaster. What does that mean? Where does the electricity come from? What is behind electricity? And I realize, I talk to people on the streets, to activists that tell me that the Netherlands have 80 to 90% of coal energy production. I don't like coal. I think it's awful that coal is being thrown into the air, but I don't mind plugging my toaster into the plug. That I can actually really live with. But what's the difference? And I try to break down these barriers of abstractness between things. And all of a sudden, a lot of things don't make sense the way we do them. I look at every plastic bottle. I think it's one of these shattering moments. Once you see it, you just kind of like, oh crap, my life is going to get hard from now on, isn't it? And it really did get harder from there on, but much more enriching as well. I looked at plastic bottles. I started really very much disliking plastic bottles for what they are. The petrochemicals, all the animal cruelty in the background, all the way it's produced. I thought to myself, why do we flush our poop down with water? I don't understand it. Who came up with that? It must have been the guy that came up with this 5-day work week. And also, why are there pineapples all year long? I don't understand that. Like, why are there 1,000 yogurts? I started to question these things, basically. From that, I thought, okay, I need to do something. Just naming the problem is not enough. I really want to do something. So Maria and I came together and we said, you know what, let's just live a whole year without plastic. Sounds a bit crazy, but might as well work. And funnily enough, it worked really well. We limited ourselves to very basic plastic consumption of medication or things like that. Everything else, we only bought packaging free or with cardboard packaging. And first reaction of people was like, don't you think that's really annoying? You can get out of the station, you cannot go to the Albert Heijn and just buy. It's like, well, that's basically the idea of it. Life shouldn't be always only convenient. We had to sometimes cycle across the whole city just to get a bit of paprika unpackaged and then go to the other side again to find something else there. And you know what? It was really exciting. It was like treasure hunting all over again. And we really connected with the people, with the vendors. We knew people's names. It was brilliant. So the whole outcome of it was really less about the plastic, but more about the connecting with your environment again. And the next step for us to counteract the material alienation was to downsize. Just really think, do I need this? Does it bring anything to me? Yes, no. And then it goes to the giveaway shops, as you call them here in the Netherlands. Step 3, make and create. I have freedom, I have time in my life now, and I actually managed to regain a sense of connection with my environment and the world we live in. So this is just for me now the time to act and create and make things. We start to make things, repair the things we have, and if we really couldn't do it ourselves, there was wonderful Kringloop circle of life shops in the Netherlands. You just thrift store it. We do that with household items. We make our own clothes. It takes ages. It looks like crap sometimes, but it's really rewarding. And we get better, and we start experiencing life a bit more in a direct way, and it really makes us happy. And the next step from that comes really a sense of self-empowerment. All of a sudden you realize it doesn't matter if it's a horrible looking t-shirt. I can do things actually. And a t-shirt is not something that magically appears in a shop, in a highway shop, but it's something that I can actually reproduce. And that was a really big moment for me to realize I can actually do things. And also from that, I can do whatever I want to. It's probably possible. I'm not saying I'm going to become a brain surgeon, but actually, when it comes to activities, I can do most things, and I can find out in the age of YouTube, we can learn everything pretty much by watching a video. So what I try to do is, at that stage is, okay, I can make a t-shirt, but let's see, I knew the whole story of self-empowerment and be the change you want to see in the world, Gandhi's words in my ears, but I never really thought the individual had that much power. I didn't feel it. I heard it, I wanted to believe in, but I didn't feel it. But that summer I tried something, and I got really, really frustrated with the amount of trash. I don't want to say trash, old furniture that a lot of Leiden people put on the streets. And it wasn't because that furniture was broken, it was perfectly good furniture. It was a bit old, it was out of fashion, maybe it didn't open that nicely anymore. And at the end of it, I think every second month, it was all out in the streets. And I thought, it's just a waste. It started raining, everything went really badly from there. So what I started doing is I started picking the things up. I started picking them up, putting them on my shoulders and just dragging them home. Maria wasn't very happy with me when I started doing that. A week later, she joined in. We started carrying bed frames all around Leiden like crazy people. And from there, I thought we need a platform that people actually pick it up, because we didn't want to trash up our apartment only. And I thought, why not just try something? So I started a Facebook page, something that I'd already seen in Innsbruck in Austria where I lived before. It's basically like a free cycling network. You give things, and there's no monetary element allowed in the whole thing. So I started doing that, and I just opened my own Facebook page. I call it Leiden for free, and I hope that people will appreciate the non-monetary exchange. And today, I think we're at about 2,500 people there. Like every day, hundreds of items of daily life find new owners rather than being thrown away. And I thought, if I can do this, anyone can do it. Like it took me one click of my finger. I didn't even have to get out of my pajamas. And I actually started something that really did a lot of impact. And that was a really, really good feeling. So how do we go from here? I've achieved personal freedom. I've reconnected with my environment. Plus, I now know I can actually do things. So the next step for me was, I want that last bit of freedom that I'm still missing, that is just the rent. And I'm really not a fan of rent. I couldn't make anything myself. I had to pay rent. So I thought, you know what? Let's build a house. If I build my own house at the age of, 27 back then, will it be possible for me to live rent-free for the next 20, 30, 40 years? And that was an interesting question, and the answer was not that easy. Because soon I realized, okay, let's build a house. That's one thing that is really easily said. But people don't make it that easy for you, because we were on a stroll through southern England, and we realized, let's build a house. Okay, what can we do? Legally, rent, out of the question. Buying, ridiculous. Who has that money? I'm not going to give up 20, 30, 40 years of my life just to pay for a bit of brick and paint around me. I find that crazy. Okay, so what do we do from there? We build a house. The houses that we would have built, we need to buy land. Land is expensive. We need to get out of cities. Okay, we need to make a few adjustments there. Whatever we want to build ourselves is not going to be legal. It's basically a illegal build. How do we get around all of these things? And we ask ourselves the question, what actually is a house? And at the end of the day, the thing that we pay for 30, 40 years is nothing but a basic human need. It is a shelter from the elements and from dangers. And that hasn't changed throughout the ages. And that's all the requirements that you basically have for a house. How much you think you have to pay for it is really up to you then. Again, you can live in a hut, in a cave, in a teepee, in a house. I've seen it work. It really works. It keeps your head dry. It is a house. As long as you're a bit protected, there you go. The modern definition is really, really narrow. Stairs need to be 70 centimeters wide. I have no idea why that is, but otherwise it's not a house. You're not going to get that stamp until your stairs are 70 centimeters wide. So that really puts a bit of a strain on our own house building project. Also, we do realize we want to live either close to a city or in a city. And urban housing has gone from a customer market where the customer determines what the price is to a complete seller market where basically they can blindly put whatever financial burden on people, and people kind of have to accept it because they do want to live in the cities. So the big question was, how much of my life do I want to give for a few walls and a roof over my head? And the answer for us was, not that much. Let's see if we can hack the system a bit. What we need is, we want a small house, we want an energy efficient house. We want natural building materials, we want to have a good feeling, maybe some wood smell in the air. We do like a lot of natural light. It's actually, I've seen rooms in London without a room for £700 a month. That's not a room, that's a bunker basically. We want it to be flexible and mobile, to change with us, to move within our mobile world, to move with us and not is a thing that we just leave behind if we want to progress in life. And also, we want to be close to nature. And we thought, okay, that's not really going to happen with all these with all these questions or requirements here. And all of a sudden, we come across the tiny house movement. Movement from the US that started in the 90s, where people come together, start building their own houses, They're often built on trailers in order to stay mobile, which is a tradition that is a bit more prominent in the US than in Europe. Mostly they're wooden built. They're fully insulated, which really also distinguishes them from a standard caravan. And they're equipped for all year round living. So it's people that actually want to challenge those boundaries of what is possible within a mobile home. This man made all the difference for me. He's called Andrew Morrison. He's an American tiny house builder, and he was the first one that really brought it from that strange hippie kind of side path of society into the mainstream. He's a builder himself, and he built a house that is all the niceties you could ever wish for. Everything you want. There's a nice 5 burning stove, a big kitchen. He has a bedroom, he has a wardrobe. What he does is really utilizing space. The stairs become your wardrobe. The bedroom becomes, whatever. The philosophy behind the whole movement is everyone can build a house. And that's exactly what I felt. I thought, I can build a birdhouse. Why not upscale it a bit? And then there's YouTube. And that can teach you crazy skills. And I'm not saying that a YouTube carpenter will ever require the skills of a normal carpenter. But I'm saying is, if it's something specific that you're looking for, you can attain that knowledge on a very small price in a very short amount of time. So from the US, that movement spreads around the whole world. And it does create an alternative for people that do not want to be tied down to rent, mortgage, or location. This is the moment we realize there's no more excuses. We're going to do it. We're going to build our own house, and we start our own blog and WordPress. Back then, that was called our tiny house adventure. What I want to do is now I'm going to bombard you with a few pictures, and I'm just going to quickly click through them to give you a bit of an insight of what we did, because we realized we want to do it as consciously and within our own speed as well. So the first thing we wanted to do is we wanted to get recycled materials. And one country that I know of that has a lot of money and a lot of will to throw stuff away was Austria. So I went back home. We decided we're going to contact people online. There's tons of people that break down their houses for no reason, just that they're out of fashion. So we contacted them. We told them we would help you demolish your houses in return for nothing else but a few materials for either a better price or for free. Because we love the idea of giving a material a second purpose, and also feeling that purpose whenever we get up in the morning in our tiny house. So that's what we did. We went to Austria and started breaking down houses. And ripping out walls, reusing floorboards, really trashing the place. And it was a really good feeling, because I thought, if I have to build a house, it would actually be quite nice to know how houses are built. So by demolishing them, I really got a good sense of, see, now this holds the one thing. And if it doesn't fall on your head, it's even a bonus. So yeah, we demolished these houses, and we salvaged all the building materials we could. And it was actually a lot. And people have a lot of materials, and they don't mind giving them away, because they would literally end up in an incineration facility or in a dump. So we helped break down a few houses, and picked up a lot of items, and we ended up with a lot of stuff. That stuff we then loaded into a trailer and shipped it to the Netherlands. The next step was for us. We have the materials, we need a trailer, we need a mobile foundation for the house. And again, I thought, who has a tiny house trailer? At that time, no one in Europe was talking about tiny houses. But I thought, you know what, let's acquire the skills that I learned before, let's just do stuff. So I started calling trailer companies, said, I want to build a house on a trailer. That exists, that's a caravan. And I said, no, I want to build a bigger house. And I found one person that listened to me and that managed to produce a trailer for us that is now actually commercially available and has been sold hundreds of times in Europe, and people are building all their houses on those now. There we go. That was the day I picked up the trailer. Needless to say, I was quite excited about it. That halo is not something I did. I don't know, that was a weird day. Step 2 of the build was for us. We have a trailer. We started building the house. With the help of some friends and some foreign external knowledge, I just go bit by bit. I try to connect wood planks. It doesn't work. It doesn't work a second time. And the third time, it actually works. We get all the wood, we cut it, we start building the walls. On a wonderful day, I invited my whole family from Austria to come here, because that's the other thing. I didn't just want a house that I built myself, but I wanted people to invest their time and energy in it, to really feel that willingness of people to help you within every inch of my new home. So I had my whole family come out, and we just built the house together in 1 weekend. I have to say the parts I did in months of excruciatingly painful work. I prepared all the parts, but we erected everything together. And actually within 1 weekend, we had a house. And it was rainproof. It had a disgusting plastic recycled roof on top, but it was rainproof and it was a house. So then we started putting some outside sheathing on it. And within 12 months of starting with the first wood connections, I had this house. It's standing in Leiden now. And yeah, it's standing. It hasn't fallen to pieces yet. It's very nice. It's very warm inside already. So I'm quite happy. I started calling it the Tiny Impact House. It's 720 long. It's 255 wide. It's 4 meters legal road height, which we thought we want to work around that. So one crazy night, we decided we're going to design a folding out roof, which is something that didn't really exist in the world of non-puppet houses. So we just did a fold-up roof. So it's now 470 if you live in it, 4 meters if you fold it in on the road, and it's 3.5 tons heavy. Again, legal road limits. We're kind of maxing out everything we can there. It's bio-based, and I think it was a Monday. It's the circular. I think it's mostly circular actually, from materials that are either recycled or have sustainable trademark certificates. It's 100% off-grid. It will allow us to produce our own electricity, to catch our own rainwater, reuse, filter that. We made the fold-up roof. And the most cool thing ever is you can build it according to your own standards. We thought, we love cooking, let's make a double kitchen. We love sitting on a sofa, let's make a gigantic sofa. We designed it, everything, and within 500 different versions, we came to the design that we liked, and we did that, which is then a double-sided kitchen, a living room with a large storage sofa. I'll show you some pictures of that in a second. A bedroom with a dresser, a bathroom with a shower and a composting toilet, a hobby loft where I'll have a small piano, Maria will have a sewing machine, storage stairs, wood-burning stove to keep us warm in winter, and things like that. And you know what? If you read that like that, it's basically the description of a pretty normal house. And we managed to fit it all in under 20 square meters. Some pictures of the interior of the house. You walk inside, on the left-hand side you have a small loft. We decided to make the whole roof a light street, as you call it. We thought we want real light from the roof. This is the hobby loft, if you want to call it, with the light on top. We decided to go for less windows in the walls, more light from above. A very primitive sofa, full of storage. It's going to have some panels, because you do really need that storage wherever you look in the tiny house, because, I mean, it is just 7 meters. You do want to pack as many things as possible in there. A few more pictures. We have a wood-burning stove. It's a bigger loft where we're going to sleep. You see a small bathroom in the back, stairs leading up to the big loft, and a double-sided kitchen that is still very much in the process of being built. But we're working on it. And our life in the tiny house will be rent-free, hopefully, mortgage-free. Well, I'm not saying hopefully when we didn't get a mortgage, but I'm saying we can hopefully live in there for many, many years without problems. We can live fully off-grid, produce our own electricity and water. We do our own waste composting. We have a minimal impact on the environment. And we have the comfort of home through changing life chapters, which is really, really nice. We're young people. We want to travel a lot. We want to see the world. Why not take your house with you? And there's the 2 cats. Not sure how they're going to react if they wake up somewhere in Bangladesh one day and walk out of the house, but we'll see. Next point, a lot of people say, great, you build your own house, but where do you actually put those? And that was a real bottleneck to work with, because It isn't a caravan. It is not a house. As I said before, I didn't fit stairs of 70 centimeters wide in there. So no house. Okay, where do we put it? Luckily for us, the tiny house movement really kicked off in the Netherlands. All of a sudden they were on radio, on the television. They were everywhere. And people actually didn't say anymore, what are you building there? But they looked at me and said, is that a tiny house? I saw that on television, fantastic. Where do you put it though? So what we try to do is we take that momentum from the movement unfolding and we go to the gemeente here, to the public councils, and we talk to them about the possibility of, well, these people are here, they're not going to go anywhere. We might as well try to work with it. Try to define our own values. What can we do for you? What can you do for us? So we got together with building companies, with gemeente, with local councils, and we came up with the idea, why not just use unused urban spaces? We have them in every city. Just whole chapters, whole corners of a city that haven't been used in 6, 7, 8 years, and there's nothing there. Why not just put a few houses there on a temporary basis, and then take them away again if you decide to ever build apartments there? And they were actually quite open to that. Because what they saw as a pro value is not just that we would use unused spaces in a city, but also to inspire fellow citizens, not to live in a tiny house, but to maybe think about living a bit smaller on a smaller scale. Where do we go from here? We really want to establish those tiny house villages and create a living infrastructure in urban areas, which is what we're working on at the moment. Because what we also want to do is, I've had a lot of people talk to me, since we started the tiny house movement, there was nothing there. Now there is more, so we want to give that knowledge to people, and we actually want to come up with a building prototype that we can upscale and give to people to live in the tiny houses themselves. And for that, we also need to build the infrastructure to offer them actually places where they can live. And not just live, but live small, free, and self-sufficient. So what's the conclusion of this whole story? Because the tiny house, again, for me, is just a manifestation of wanting to live consciously, small, self-determined. So the mindful living and sustainability for me, what does that mean? The sustainability was for me never the starting point. I loved nature, I loved animals, but I didn't do those things because I wanted to save the environment. I did it out of really practical reasons. And what I ended up was this, actually. I made conscious decisions, and they led to conscious actions. I tried to remove the abstractness out of the equation and see things for what they really were, and not trying to be convenient and just not think about it, but really push myself to it. I came up with one thing for myself, and I thought, you know what? Everyone really wants to live sustainable, even the ones that say they don't. Because we all, if we take the word literally, we all want to leave behind a world for our children that actually has breathable air, that has drinkable water. But abstractness has made it really difficult for people not to become cynical and say, I don't want to do this, I don't want to go that extra step. So therefore, I think sustainability is something that lies that is completely in the core of our human understanding of living on the planet. We need to sustain it in order to survive. But this abstractation and alienation and convenience block the view of the production processes, as I said, with the coal production facility behind something simple as a wall plug that might seem very harmless to the environment. One thing I really want to mention is, if people go home from this today, I really don't want them to think, okay, I'm here and Bernie's got a tiny house. I don't want a tiny house. I really want people to understand there is a lot between that. And that's exactly the decision process that I was talking about. It really doesn't have to be tiny. It can be very small measures that have a gigantic impact on your environment, actually. What I loved about the decision to go smaller is you have time. You have less items in your life, so you actually have time to think about those items. Same with people. Less people, really deep connections. So the smaller I went, the more time I had actually to thrive and enjoy life. Also, if I can build a home, anyone can do it. I'm an anthropologist. I'd never built anything before, and here it's standing. Who knows for how long, but... And the most important thing is we can, if we start to question the things that are usually taken for granted, we actually realize that small change can have a really wide impact. And if we all get together as a collective, we can, individually, in a collective together, really make a difference and change the world in a very, very good way. And I think that's the most important thing of the whole story. The individual actually has a lot of power to change things. And I want to end the whole presentation on one thing that I really liked. I was in a meeting with some building company, actually in White Park, a couple of weeks ago, and he asked me at the end, it all sounds great, it's fantastic, but for us, as the location givers, what stays behind from you? You come there with your houses, you live beautiful, off-grid, everything, you leave again, what stays behind? And I thought about it for a second, and I thought, you know what stays behind? Nothing materialistic, really. And that's exactly what we want. What we want to stay behind is the spark in people's consciousness, that the next time they go to the supermarket, they will maybe buy one plastic bottle less. Maybe they buy glass. And it's that spark in people that we really want to stimulate. And that's exactly what I think the whole idea is about, that if we don't leave anything materialistic behind, but that thought, people can actually go their own way and make their own decisions and live a really nice and sustainable life. Thank you very much.